To the right side of the map, the former TSL player losing to Nesty in game 1. Now in his second game, this time against Protoss. It is
TSL Center.
Always looking so calm and confident in the booth.
He's up against the Protoss opponent who lost against Tuck in the mirror match. The Casper player to the left, his ideas.
Wongjin starts fly.
Flying. So far, like you said, with a rough start. There's no foreigner here in this group, but might be able to turn things around. Not a good map for him. I really want to stress that. There's a lot of things that Terran can do to pressure on this map. We have seen Terran players overextend on this map too, though. If Flying gets that edge at the third base, if he takes just one engagement and Center keeps rallying across the map, the rush distance on this map is massive. So if your initial pressure fails and you keep trying it, that can give a Protoss player a massive lead if he just continues to defend. The main base is pretty big and wide open for drops as well, so that's something Flying is going to have to be concerned about.
And one of the things that he does immediately is place a pylon to the top left. This will help him later on to identify drops that are coming into his base. You always have to be careful as a Protoss player where you place your important tech structures. So it's highly unlikely that Flying will use this pylon to hide some tech, because if he's not successful with the timing, then suddenly in the late game, Senna is in a position where he can, with a good drop, take out the tech structures, and that throws the Protoss behind so much, can even lose in the game immediately.
We've seen that before.
Creator, exactly. Creator versus Supernova on Antigua Shipyard.
Something to think about with this map, you know, consider we talked about the third base for Flying. He may have no intention of taking it. One of the most popular strategies we've seen on this map is actually Blink Stalker play from Protoss players. Of course, not going to show that until he gets the Stalker out of here.
And we've seen this in the up and downs. MC played it. MC tried the strategy and he was playing, I feel it was against Dream. And Dream immediately saw what was coming, built the pylon in the high ground, in the main base. And that gave him a good edge, and MC never really was able to break through.
Flying, it does an interesting strategy here. He goes double Zealot. And unfortunately for him, Flying is going to face not a CC first, but rather a very safe one Rax expand from Center. He's not going to be able to do a ton of damage here, but you know what? Center's micro allows him to kill one Marine. Now he starts to micro properly, and the Zealot is going to have a lot of trouble here.
Bring around the Rosie with the bunker. And yeah, the Zealot is just getting away. So Flying saving his Zealots, moving back now, and going into an Nexus.
So no Blink Stalker play here from Flying. Just a one gas, one gate expand with double Zealot pressure. Saves the Zealot, which is important, and gets the scouting information he needs. So, you know, as far as resource cost goes, wasn't necessarily worth it, but definitely worth the scouting information.
Yeah. He knows what's going on now. And Santa starts to go for the tech. He goes for double refinery, will have the gas with the pylon, not the pylon, but of course the bunker at the front. He's safe against this Stalker pressure. And, well, there was something that... Oh, wow, that is actually unexpected. For a second, Flying not paying attention to the minimap, and this is exactly the time that Santa uses to move out of the bunker, trying to pressure. And I'm really surprised to see this placement for the Twilight Council.
You know, that almost goes to show that he's not planning for the late game. It's more of a, I'm hiding my Twilight Council, I don't want you to know I skipped my Robo. Ooh, he's probably, with the Robo now going down 2, he's probably gearing up to do a 2-base Blink Stalker attack. Yeah. He may also go for DTs and go for warp-ins using observers, or also just simply a warp prism. That's pretty rare these days, though.
And we talked about these placements earlier. If you have been following StarCraft 2 for a long time, then you know that if you build those tech structures at the edge of your, the outside of your base, then suddenly a drop play can take down a pylon, can take down whatever. Being it a robotics bay, being it a Twilight Council, it doesn't really matter. It really damages your entire plan for the game. And we were referencing the game between Creator and Supernova, and in case you didn't watch it, what happened was that Supernova was able to drop Creator and took out, in exactly a position like this, the robotics bay before range for the Colossi was done, and then Creator was forced to attack and attacked without Colossus range and lost the game. It was a very close fight, but he lost it just because he didn't have the range upgrade. So that's what can happen here, which is why it surprises me a little bit. But well, we might not even be in a position where it comes into play, but usually we see these days Protoss players trying to just reposition their tech structures a little bit.
What I like about it is that in this case, with this hidden Twilight Council, normal scans go in the main, and if he sees the robotics with a scan. He's like, oh, okay, Robo and 3 gates, that's what I would expect. But with that, like you said, it is risky. But when you're trying to hide something like this and you're going for a strategy where you go for a blink stalker play, you're taking a risk anyways.
Yeah.
And that Marine almost fought that Zealot 1v1. Flying is in a position where he is banking a lot on this push, and Center is about to find his Paladin. He almost gets the Observer. That could have been tragic. This is the most important unit for Flying right now. Without that Observer, he has no ability to pressure.
Exactly. You need the high ground vision. If you don't have the high ground vision, that even the blink upgrade won't do you any good at all. And this is, of course, exactly what Senna knows as well. So with a good scan, he could always try to find the Observer and then take it out. Here comes the blink into the main base, and here are the Marines. Are there enough of them? It doesn't really look like it. We immediately have Flying fighting here, trying to migrate Stalkers, but being pressured into a corner now. He needs to blink out just in the last second, able to save one of his Stalkers.
Stem is almost done, and that Marauder's here. He's got to get out.
Yeah, the Marauder is changing everything now.
That was a close call, but you know, the micro Flying not as good as it could have been, and that certainly affected that battle we saw. Salvage goes down on Center's bunker as he realizes he's facing pressure more so in the main than at the natural. Then Flying realizes it's time to transition. Double forge, robotic support bay, even trying to occupy Center a little bit, maybe make him make a bunker in his main base.
But Senta is holding up well. He's at 48 Harvesters. We have him now with the defense in his main base, so even if Flying decides to blink in again, he should be ready for it, especially with the added Marauders that he has.
Now this robotic support bay placement is a little bit questionable. Both tech structures together in the main base with one pylon. Oh wow, loses a Stalker trying to kill the factory.
We have the Medivacs out, so the main question is, will Senta drop? Will he have the breathing room to actually send one of the Medivacs out? And if he does so, will he hit this position? If he does, it could spell bad news for Flying when he loses his tech. But we are not there just yet. Double upgrades at this point for Flying.
Critically, the factory does survive. No armory block like we saw yesterday. A lot of stimming going on for Center, but he's still very much in control of this game. He has not lost very much to Flying's attacks. Yeah, he lost a bunker at the front, but that bunker was there just to do exactly that. It served its purpose well.
Expansion now, apparently an attempt for Center to get another command center right at the mineral line to the top right. Has an SCV in position. That was already spotted.
He has... Those were not gateways in his main next to the...
No, it was the forges, yeah.
Oh my god, he's actually... He is taking the turn, putting all your eggs in one basket to a new level. But they're all on one pylon.
But so far, Senta is playing this very one-dimensional. He's just going forward with his army. He's not splitting too much. He's not trying to go for an added drop. So at this point, doesn't really come into play.
Yeah.
But if Senta decides to start a drop play, then things could just spiral out of control for Flying. At this point, he's going for +1/+1. He has the faster upgrades. Everything is going well for him. He still has a pylon at the bottom right, one to the top right, so he can pressure the third base of Senna when he identifies that the Terran player is trying to get a third command center.
We talked about overextension on this map, and that's something that Center is not so far showing. His Observer, Flying's, sees the drop, so he waits.
Yeah.
And this is such an important corner of Center's base. Factory tries to
protect it.
Yeah, his factory tries to deny the base, doesn't get it off. Well, he moves his Stalkers back.
Well,
they're waiting for the trap.
Yeah, I'm in the mineral line. With a good blink, he could take out both Medivacs.
Flying is splitting his units really well. He has enough units down here to defend his third base. He needs to react, though, and he pulls them down here. Center has to leave. Really good splitting on Flying's units.
Yeah, the Observer is still there for Flying, so Center's job is completely visible to Flying. The Protoss player just waiting for those Medivacs to approach. Then he can break in, can take both of them down. And this is very, very dangerous here for Center. If he loses both of them, that would spell bad news. And now the pylon at the top right being used. Here comes the blink. Oh, just saving the Medivac. That was close.
Really nicely executed still.
Top right, we have the Zealot now, though. Using this forward pylon to pressure the economy of Center. And Center sends in a Marine, but the Marine just outside of the range.
Yeah, he actually takes out several SCVs. So the Zealot that scouts the third base, first of all, and of course keeps him on his toes. See if Center is smart enough to find that pylon. Should be able to sniff it out. Flying with all the upgrades coming out here. He's getting +2 armor, he's getting charge. And Center is really heavily committing to the Viking production. We only have 2 Colossi with a third on the way. I think now would be a good time as soon as he sees it. Oh, we're going to see the Lazy Boy push. He's going.
He's pushing. through with those SCVs. He's going for the SCVs. The army supply is already in his favor with 120 against 100.
He wants to
Flying.
hit before 2-2.
He's maybe able to get +2/+2, but it doesn't really look like it. It's going to be close, though. He sees his opponent coming. The scan shows the high ground.
Not a lot
the
of
Vikings
sentries.
going into position to damage those Colossi. And here comes the battle. The sim is good for Center. He's moving in. He has the arc. Here come the force fields. The blink forward trying to take down one Viking after another, but the first Colossus is already gone.
Yeah, force field's a little bit too late here, and Center with a massive lead now. 40 army supply ahead, and the Vikings are on the chase. +2 armor about to finish, but it's very much late here. The Bioforce for Center is way too big, and he's got SCVs to support.
Yeah, not enough gateway units to shield the rest of Flying's army. Here comes the Bioforce of Senna with 130 supply against 127. He's moving in, stutter stepping his way to victory. We have Flying with the last Colossus trying to save it. 3 bases for the Protoss, but can he make this happen? No! GG! Center takes the game. Flying 0-2 in this group today. Well done by Center, the former GSL player now on 1-1, losing to an ST, but against Flying, he claims victory.
Flying with a rough start to this group, and in this particular game, I feel like his composition was not bad, but it didn't allow him to buy time for those 2-2 and to get the additional Colossi out. Center did everything right with his time. He had just the right amount of Vikings. He hit right before 2-2 was completely done. It was really well executed.
Center takes the win, is now 1-1 in the group, and things are getting a little bit grim for Flying. Without a single win so far, he's 0-3, so it's getting very... Yeah, he needs a win right now to make sure that he has another shot at getting first or second place in the group to advance straight to Codes. If not, he still has a chance of advancing to the wildcard group tomorrow. And the same is, of course, true for our next 2 opponents. Huck already in the lead with a 1-0, and he was able to defeat his opponent in the first mirror match of the day. Now he's facing a second Protoss player.
Yeah, it's going to be a finale, of course, and if he wins this, Huck that is, he'll actually find himself also on a 2-0 score.
Yeah.
And that's looking good for him if he can make it happen. The map, I believe, is Whirlwind. Yep, Whirlwind, big map, and it leads to the late game. We're not going to see an easy, short little defensive game out of Huck necessarily. More likely, we're going to see a late game that's all about engagements.
Here they are. Both of them are Protoss versus Protoss mirror match. The second one of the day, finale to the left. He lost earlier today against Fantasy. Now he's up against the foreigner. He's up against the Canadian player E.G. Huck to the right side of the screen. On Whirlwind, he has to face his second Protoss opponent. If he does it, he will be on 2-0 in the group. A great position for him. Will tie the score with Fantasy, who's currently leading the group. Whirlwind is our map. We are ready to go. The players are already in the game. Let's jump into the match and see if Huck can take a 2-0 or if finale is going to prevail in this mirror match.